at Shooter Symposium 2021. This is how many years have you been doing this here at Shooter Symposium?
This is my third year, because the first year I didn't come here, and they were like, after action, like, what do we need? And they're like, medical, need some medical. And so this is my third year here.
Awesome.
Out of 4.
How's enrollment looking? Have you seen it going up?
It's going pretty good. It's better this year. So I'm awesome. Looking forward to that, and I'm hoping, with us going into the 2022 calendar year, because 2020 and was kind of a wash because of all the stuff that happened, and then 2021 we've been kind of slowly picking up speed. But I'm hoping 2022 will be a better year, because the way I look at it, ammo's hard to find, ammo's scarce, ammo ain't cheap, and medical training is probably more relevant now than it ever has been, brother.
I'd agree.
Especially with our 911 systems getting overwhelmed, or maybe even being non-existent.
Yeah, we're talking about that off camera as well. Some interesting stuff going on in our country right about now.
Absolutely.
So I'm stoked to be one of your students coming up.
Awesome.
For those that are coming, bullet point, what can they expect, just in terms of flow of the class, without giving too much away?
Oh man, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna laugh, but you're gonna learn.
I dig it.
And it's not going to be a death by PowerPoint. It's going to be, I'm a firm believer, if people are laughing and they're waiting for the next stupid thing to come out of my mouth, that they're listening to me. And that means I've got the brain housing group engaged, and they're going to pick stuff up and go, holy crap, I actually learned something from this redneck. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And I think it even with a condensed one-day class like we have, this is the Cliff's Notes version, it's enough to get people information and maybe wet their whistle, whet their appetite, and make them want to learn more and do more, and come to one of my full classes.
I dig it. You ever get so tired of just like the industry, cookie cutter box stuff and all that type of stuff?
Like you said, there's so many A-type personalities out there, and everybody's vying to be the next best, biggest, best thing. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just a man nurse. I just want to teach people how to save lives. It's easy to fucking hurt somebody and put a hole in somebody. Mm-hmm. Hard part that gets down the nut cutting whenever you gotta put hands on and fix what's just got broken.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right. This has been a hard thing to break too, because he's just a medic. He's just a nurse. So. Well,
there's a little humbleness with you, obviously. Like, you're a little bit more than a man nurse. I mean, without getting into pedigree, and people read up on that on their own. Right. Obviously, well established in your field, right?
Yeah.
But where did it begin? Like, so I've read articles about you before, and it's like, I've always wanted to help people, and I knew that I was going to go into pre-med and all that type of stuff. But what is it that actually drives that passion? Because there's dudes like me that didn't get into it until something bad happened, right? Which is what we're chatting about earlier off camera. It's just, okay, so you have a traumatizing event and you realize that's a skill set that I should have had, and then you shoulda, coulda, woulda it for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, you second guess yourself. You're your own worst enemy.
But it sounds like you didn't have like one of those cataclysmic events that actually started this off. Is this just something in terms of how you grew up? Or?
I think it was all. The reason it got started was I was seeing buddies of mine, because I knew how, being a paramedic in the field, or in a flight medic in the military, how it had some bad cases, and like you said, when we sit off camera, you don't forget that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what I don't want is for people to not feel that same way, especially when it's something as simple as throwing on a tourniquet or packing a wound or whatever to help somebody else out. I mean, that can be a total game changer, and that was where I was just like, if I can prevent one of my buddies in law enforcement, because that's where it came from. I had a lot of buddies I worked with in the ER that had come in, bringing patients in or whatever, and I'm like, hey, dude, what kind of medical training do y'all have? And they're like, bro, first aid. And what kind of med stuff do you have? We got like a bag of expired crap in the trunk of our cruiser, and we have no idea what it is or how to use it. And I was like, that's horrible. And so that's where I started writing a curriculum out, and I was like, if I can just teach these people how to do this, instead of them being in a situation where they're like, I have no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. And like we had said earlier, it's empowerment, because knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And if you can make a difference in one person's life, then all that effort, all that blood, sweat, and tears is worth it. So that's kind of the reason I started doing it, because I was like, I don't want people to feel helpless, because that is the worst the absolute worst feeling in the world is sitting there. I remember the last patient that died in my ambulance. I mean, I threw the whole drug box at her. You know, nothing I could have done because she threw a big pulmonary clot, and there was jack crap I could do about that. But I second guessed myself, you know, and I was like, and I felt helpless because I was like, I have no idea what to do. And I was like, just on the lower level, just to stop the bleeding, and you know, like I'm on our little thing here, tourniquet limb, pack the junction, seal the box.
Yeah.
Keep things simple, man, because that's how you're going to remember that stuff in a bad, you know, in a bad situation. So.
Do you think there's a reluctance to do the med stuff just because, like, one, it's not, you know, tactical or it's not sexy? Like, how much of that is there? But, you know, for me, I think part of my resistance to it when I first started off was that it was kind of intimidating, to be honest with you. Like I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not even EMT certified, right? I'm just a dude. So let's kind of leave that to the professionals. And that's always how it had been institutionally in law enforcement, was just like, hey, man, we make the scene safe, and then, you know, America's second responders roll in, right?
We wait for fire.
Yeah, we just we'll wait for fire to go. You know, like we've done the gun stuff and we've done the cop stuff, and now it's time for fire to come in and do the fire stuff. You know, so I think there's a real lack in our training in domestic law enforcement, because that always had been our attitude.
Yes.
Now that's changing, but again, it's because of those. You know, I mean, how many traumatized cops do we have running around with anniversary dates because they all feel the same way that we feel, because we've all lost somebody.
Absolutely.
You know, or watched somebody agonal and we couldn't do anything about it. You know, so how does that perception change? Because it's one of those. It's hard to. Man. You don't know until you know type of a things.
And that's the hard thing, is to break through that, you know, that glass ceiling, so to speak, or break through that barrier to people, is make them realize the importance of it, and just how easy it is. Because, like you said, taking it back to the intimidation factor, people think that it's rocket surgery, you know, and I'm like, dude, it's not rocket surgery. It's if you can break it down in 3 simple steps like that and make a difference in somebody's life, you know, it's like, that's the best thing in the world. If people come into the class, they're like, I don't know about this, you know. I've had a lot of people come in class, I don't know about this, I don't have any medical training. I'm like, perfect, because that book right there, that's the elephant, and we're gonna eat that bitch one bite at a time,
right?
You know, and that's the best way to do it, is to make it in digestible chunks like that. And I think when people see that it's not some sort of voodoo or fairy dust or unicorn farts or anything like that, that they at the end of the day, second day, they're doing trauma assessments on people, and they've never put hands on anybody in their life, and they're like, holy crap,
right? I
can do this.
Yeah.
And so that's the cool thing, but. It is cool, and that's what I tell people. It is cool, but it doesn't have the sex appeal. You know, it's not flashy. It's not I'm out there doing Hondo rolls across a range, or, you know, getting my John Wick on or whatever. And that's, I think that's one of the big things that we've fought all these years. Is like, look, man, there's no, you know, doing that, you know, with your sweet blaster, you know, Han Solo blaster or whatever, that's awesome. You know, getting some good tight groups, I like shooting. I love shooting, but there's nothing more gratifying than knowing that you made a difference in somebody's life, you know. And all it takes is, you know, a little bit of training and the will to do it, the mindset.
Right. So one of the hurdles is, you know, the people that actually come to your class have already made that step, right?
Yeah.
They're already past the pre-contemplation phase, and they're already in there, so that they've taken that step. So if you could tell everybody that's watching this video, like if you could demystify this medical voodoo for the people that are too apprehensive to actually say, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to sign up for this class, what would you tell them? How would you break it down?
It's everyday trauma care, man. It's a matter of prioritizing it. Like we said, it's one of the most under prioritized things in the world. But if people are having hesitation about it, I'm like, if my 8-year-old daughter can put, when she was 8, she's 16 now, but when she was 8 years old, if she can put a tourniquet on me successfully without ever being taught, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You know, if my 8-year-old daughter can do it, anybody can do it. And that's the thing. I want people to understand, it's not a hard thing. I mean, if it's just a matter of a repetition, you know, a pattern you get into, just like fixing your coffee every morning, or brushing your teeth, or tying your tie, or, you know, putting your gun belt on when you go to work, you know.
Right.
That's the best thing I can say, is say if an 8-year-old can do it, then anybody can do it.
Right.
And don't be intimidated. Don't be scared by it, because it's a worse feeling. I'd tell them, go into this and say, okay, I'm gonna commit. It's just like jumping out of an airplane. You know, I'm going to commit, and you've got to commit. You can't cat claw on that door. You know, you can't sit there and cat claw on that door and hold on. You got to commit. You got to take that leap and trust the process and trust what's going to happen. And and when you come to one of our classes, it's so gratifying to see people with that light bulb that were so hesitant coming into class. I'll have husbands bringing dragging wives in there, and wives dragging husbands in there. I don't want to do this shit, and then they're like, at the end of the second day, they're like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is great.
Right.
And if I could tell people that, just don't be scared. Don't be scared. Commit to it and just do it, man, because it could be the life of them. It could be the life of their child.
Yes.
The life of one of their best friends, their spouse, family member, other family members, or a complete total stranger, which is even more cool. We had a Brevard County, this is one of our latest saves, Brevard County deputy. He was off duty. Witnessed a hit and run, bicyclist versus truck. Guess who won that one?
Yeah.
And dude had compound fracture, arterial bleed, and he keeps a kit in his car, and he was right there with it, and he made the difference because he had the kit, he had the training, he had the mindset.
Right.
So yeah, I know it's a long way around the barn with that one, but
but it makes sense, right? So I mean, looking at it from like an uninitiated point of view, like my biggest fear was, and maybe you can allay this for people that haven't gone through this stuff yet, like, is there anything that you teach that could make somebody worse? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh God, I don't want to put hands on this dude because I don't want to make a mistake and like kill him by accident, right?
Right. No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously you can put a tourniquet on too loose and they could bleed out or cause a compartment syndrome. Yeah, you can do anything badly, but we teach you how to do it the proper way. That's up to the person. But I think the beautiful thing about our training, the way we have it laid out, is we teach people, say, hey, if you can't fix something within this set of this algorithm right here, this little treatment algorithm, guess what? It's out of your hands. It's outside your scope, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's like I tell people, okay, they're like, I have all the what if questions in class, and they're like, well, what if he's got a head injury? I'm like, are you a neurosurgeon? Right. And they're like, no. I said, keep their head up, keep them from puking, watch their airway, its positioning. That's all it is. That's all you can really do for a head injury. Some things are beyond your scope. So I think, and if people, I think once people get past that, because they do, they come into it with a lot of big word for redneck here, a lot of trepidation, and they're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I'm scared of hurting somebody and making the situation worse. I'm like, well, I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you to help everything that you can, and everything else you just make a note of it and give that off to the EMS guys when they pull up on scene.
Right.
So
I like it.
Kind of cuts all that other extraneous crap out of the way. Which is, and I said, if you do the basics, stop the bleeding, start the breathing, then everything else is gravy. Because you've stabilized them until somebody else can get there.
Right.
That's the big thing.
So it's kind of almost breeding that mindset, saying like, listen, like this might be what you're worried about, and all that type of stuff, and I get that, but this is the sandbox that you're playing in. As long as you're not stepping outside of those boundaries, you're going to be good to go. Good Samaritan laws being what they are, and practicing within your scope as they are, and don't worry about the rest of it.
Right. Don't overthink the situation too, and that's why we give people a little triage card that I made up. Your TAC Med tips, and I'm like, if you follow this, do everything there. That's all you can do. That's all I've trained you to do. Right. Anything else, you're not going to be like Sandra Bullock in that movie, The Heat, where she's sitting there cutting a crike in a guy's, throat in a Waffle House or something. But if you stay in that little box, then you don't step out of it. Then you're not going to overthink it because people tend to overthink themselves and the critique and everything like that.
Good. So all right. Well, thank you for taking the time, man.
Hey, thank you, brother.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
keep on spreading the good word.
Yeah, just trying. I'm trying, brother.
Awesome.